All right, guys, here we go. Chris is behind the camera today.
Hello.
We're with our good friend Nick from Pullrite, and he is going to show us all about the Pullrite hitches and specifically their brand new product, the OEX. Nick, thank you so much for hosting us today, and let's see what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what I'd like to show you is the OE suite of products that are made for your truck with a fifth wheel prep package.
Okay.
First, this is our Super Fifth, which is basically a non-sliding fifth wheel hitch made for an 8-foot bed truck. It's designed to attach and put the weight of that coach right over your rear axle and offers a 25,000 pound towing capacity.
Actually, we do have friends, Jeff and Deb, that have this hitch, and they love it.
Excellent.
This is what we're more familiar with using the Super Glide. This is what we've been using for the past year.
Yeah, the Super Glide is a product that we sell a lot of them because there's a lot of short bed trucks out there.
Yeah.
And if you have a short bed truck, it makes a ton of sense. As you know, you can back your truck in, pull it forward into any campsite. You're just not going to hit the cab up to that 90-degree turn.
Yeah, this gives us that kind of 100% mental clarity because we move campsites so many times as we full-time travel that we don't have to worry about it at all.
Now, brand new from us this year is going to be our OEX series of products.
Awesome.
These are really unique in the sense that they're a lightweight, high-capacity fifth wheel hitch. It's designed to fit into a puck system, but they're designed with a lot of flexibility in mind. What I mean by that is we offer a couple of different hitching options and a couple of different settings on how that hitch can be set up in the bed of your truck.
And I noticed that there's two different heads, obviously. The bases look like they're the same base, but the heads are different. So tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You pick the base for your truck.
Okay.
And then you can choose the hitch plate, whether you want the standard fifth wheel hitch plate like you're using or the super light ball and funnel.
All right, and you can kind of see that that's where the offset comes in, where the different heads, you can kind of rotate them and change them to get that, what'd you say, up to 7.5 inches of clearance?
Exactly. The super light here offers up to 7.5 inches of offset, whereas the super fifth is 4 inches of offset. So
Okay.
it allows, this one is a little more short bed friendly. It allows for a little more turning clearance.
Oh, yeah, I like it. Okay, and the rating on these hitches, you said we got 25,000 pounds. I know the Super Glides kind of range from 16 to 24,000 pounds. What about the OEXs?
The OEX series is a 25,000 pound hitch.
Okay.
So they're all 25,000 pounds of capacity.
How about weight? What do these guys kind of roughly come in at?
Well, that's one of the huge advantages of these. With your Super Glide, you're at over 200 pounds with the hitch in the bed of your truck.
Yes.
These, depending on the model, like the Chevy ones here, these are designed at 75 pounds for this version, a little bit more with the one with the hitch plate on it, but they're relatively lightweight. Because these posts come out of the base of the hitch, it makes it a really easy product to install and remove out of the bed.
Yeah, I like the quick introduction that you kind of gave us, Nick. We are going to actually install one of these in our Ram 3500 short bed dually truck, and that'll kind of give you guys an idea of what it looks like to install it, how it actually operates. We'll be able to talk about that a little bit more, and then we're actually going to show you exactly the kind of turning clearance that we get.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, here we are at the back of our Ram 3500. This is the truck that we just got this year. It is the short bed dually, and you can kind of see this is the Super Glide system that we have. You know, we've talked about it before, but the reason we went with the Super Glide is because it's really kind of the only option that gives you that, 100% peace of mind that, it's gonna move back and keep the cab of your truck and the fifth wheel from hitting each other. And that was important for Chris and I because we are full-time RVers and we're always in new campsites. But no product is ever perfect, and you can kind of see, because this is the Ram footprint, it's fairly large and it has a good amount of weight to it. So as full-timers that don't take this out of our bed and don't really use the bed of the pickup truck to store too much, it's not a huge deal for us. But I understand that some people, need to take this in and out. So I'm excited to get this one out, and we're gonna put in the new OEX. I think today we're also going to be towing this Reflection instead of our Alliance, only because the puppies are in there sleeping. They're kind of all set up, and instead of making it kind of a big ordeal for them. We're just going to tow around their shop trailer.
And I see our WD-40. One of our most common comments are that we should not be using the WD-40.
We get that often because we recommend that as a manufacturer for lubrication. And a lot of people want to argue that it's not a good lubricant, which we're not arguing that it's a great lubricant. We use it for cleansing and conditioning purposes as well. There's some polymer plates integrated into the Super Glide. The WD-40 keeps those moving smoothly across the way tubes. So it is in fact the correct lubrication.
You heard it here.
There you go. Proper lifting form, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Proper lifting
Oh, that's
form.
way better.
Yeah.
You could see how much force I had too as I like picked it up. I could have flung it over my shoulder. This is fun. Okay. That actually is really light when you're like have the right stance with it.
Yeah. And so the Ram base out of the Chevy and Fords is the heaviest of the three.
What else do you want me to do?
That's perfect. You nailed it. Now, the goal here today is not for us to replace the Super Glide with the OEX series, but I am really curious to see exactly, you know, kind of the differences. And we're in that Ram, the shortest of the beds, which again is going to be very interesting to see exactly what kind of turning radius we get. Took about 15 minutes to take the old one out, put the new base in, and that's, you know, in due to the OE puck system, the way that those work. You know, you literally just turn them, pull the old one out, and, you know, put the new one in. There's a little bit of assembly with the new one that these guys had pre-assembled, but nice and easy. So here we're gonna try to show the differences, the hitching options, and the single base that's in the back.
We'll start with the more of a traditional type fifth wheel hitch plate.
Yep.
This is designed to couple to the kingpin that's on the coach. So you just back into it, hook onto the kingpin. It has a latch that most people don't ever see, is the underside of it. We have a jaw that wraps all the way around the kingpin and holds onto that kingpin nice and tight. Does a really effective job of keeping your coach connected to your truck.
Yep.
This one is designed with, like I said earlier, either be centered over the axle or with that 4 inches of offset to bring everything behind the axle.
Okay.
Or the other hitching option that you can choose is the Super Light, which is a simplified option. You have a funnel with a ball that's on your coach. All you're going to do is lower the ball down into the funnel. So it's a real simple installation. This setup actually nets us a little bit lighter of a fifth wheel hitch because we don't have the rocker arm assembly.
Oh, yeah.
So this is ultimately what a lot of folks end up using on a short bed because it creates 7.5 inches of offset. It's a much better option for the short bed trucks.
Gotcha. Chris, you are going to be the front star of the show here very soon.
You're just ready to show off all my rustiness today.
So I noticed the cradle there can go in a few different positions. Right now, you got it mounted down in the lowest one, and that's probably because of our newer, taller truck and maybe the shorter fifth wheel.
Exactly. We have a relatively tall 4-wheel drive Ram truck, and we're pulling what's advertised as a half-ton towable fifth wheel, which is relatively low. So we're just going to put the hitch in the lowest position and assess our clearance on the side after we hook up.
Okay, how many inches of adjustability is there?
We like to see 6 inch. Oh, on the hitch we have about 3 inches of height adjustability on it.
Okay.
So we're going to be in the lowest setting. So we're going to go up about 3.5 inches from where it's at. But we're trying to achieve a minimum of 6 inches between the bed sides and the underside of the coach.
So here is the Super Fifth head on the OEX, and if I can show this properly, it's about 4 inches behind our rear axle. So that's the offset on this, and basically it could be 4 inches closer if we had a longer bed, or if you had a shorter bed, you know, you'd want this 4 inches of offset. Okay, so with the installation of the OEX Super 5th, Chris, all you gotta do now is successfully connect up to the trailer behind us, and we're gonna test it out.
Sounds good. I'll try to make it look easy.
Keep coming. Okay, Chris, go ahead for the final connection. That's it.
Wonderful job hooking up. It looks great. So let's see what it does.
So we have never hooked up to anything besides our wide body Alliance, which is 101 inches. This reflection is 96 inches wide, and it looks like it kind of has cutouts here because, like Nick said, it's designed for, usually a short bed truck, I would guess. But the actual clearance, it's not bad. That looks a little bit farther than what I imagined. And you can tell the difference between a mid-profile fifth wheel and our larger full-profile fifth wheel. The cap is just completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of times they're marketed towards a half-ton market. There's a difference between that 101 inch wide body when it comes down to turning clearance and the way the corner's contoured. You hit the nail on the head with that.
All right, babe. Good job. Let's pull outside.
Okay.
We have cameras on top of the truck looking at the fifth wheel. We got a camera here watching her come out. We got a bird up in the sky that's gonna hopefully give us a good view of what's gonna happen, and we're just gonna find out, right?
Yep, yes we are.
Do you want me to go all the way?
Nice and slow. We may have to have you stop because we don't know if this...
This is
Okay,
where Aaron starts to get nervous.
Safety check. We don't have the Super Glide anymore, so we just, this is where, this is why we have the Super Glide, so we don't have to like go, what's gonna happen? But we just gotta be careful and go slow. Keep turning.
This has turned all the way for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna hit. So yeah, I mean, we can obviously do a circle in this scenario. Not something you typically want to do to drag your axles like that, but this is just kind of a experiment to know before you get into bad situations.
But definitely take a note here on the front of this, the difference in contour of this compared to your coach, like you were talking, and how much that's already doing for us right here as far as cab clearance.
So yeah, you're right. That's quite a bit different.
This is one of the best case scenarios because of the cutouts, extended pin, and only 96 inches wide.
Yeah. Okay, so now if we want to go to the max and see exactly how far this can turn, should we just keep her, have her going, or should we try to do a reverse situation?
I'd say we try to back up a little bit, have her straighten the wheels up and just back straight into it, and we're gonna see that tighten up a little bit more.
Okay. Nice and slow. Nice and slow. Keep going a little bit. A little bit. All right, stop right there for a second. So this is maybe, I don't know, 4 inches. You can see it's pretty close.
You know, we could split some hairs and maybe go another couple inches, but you know, in a real world situation, because of terrain changes, I would always give yourself at least that few inches of clearance there. You don't want to be too close. The other thing to consider is we're on flat level concrete here. Most campsites aren't like this, and uneven terrain will change this, so that's something you got to keep in mind as you're continuing to use the product. Know your limitations for sure.
So from down here on the ground, this is a pretty impressive turn. I mean, if you keep going, you're gonna be getting pretty close there. So I'm actually pretty surprised. I had no idea, what this was gonna look like. Like I said, we've never towed a different style trailer, and we've never had a different hitch. So it's really interesting to see, how this actually, with only 4 inches of offset, performed pretty well, in what we have here. This is a pretty cool option to try out. We have one more option that gives up to the 7.5 inches of clearance. So we're gonna see if that, moving it back even farther and having the different hitch up style is any different. What do you think so far, babe?
It is impressive. It would be interesting to to have our fifth wheel on here because that's more apples to apples, obviously. But yeah, it seems to be pretty good. It's fun. I think of all the people here on this video shoot, I got the most fun position.
Yes.
Because I just get to come out here and drive and listen to instructions.
Pin attachment can go forwards and backwards, right?
Exactly. If we can either have it forward of the kingpin like it is here, which is going to increase your clearance from the tailgate to the underside of your coach. It also will increase your cab clearance a little bit. It will also decrease your clearance between the back of the pin box and the bedside. Whereas when we flip it this direction, the opposite of everything's true. You're going to bring the coach a little further towards the cab, potentially decreasing your clearance between your tailgate, but you will be bringing the overall length of your coach down a little bit.
So I think with us, we want to, since we have the shortest of the short beds, we want to try to see what that 7.5 inch
that's
clearance.
where I'm at.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And we can kind of just see what that scenario would look like.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and put the ball 3.5 inches forward of the kingpin. And then for installing this, what we'll do is loosen up the jam nuts here and then tighten up the bolts in a kind of a crisscross pattern, and then tightening the center ones last. And we're gonna go ahead and torque those to spec. That way this is nice and square and mounted firmly onto the pin box.
Do you or will you guys have full installation videos on the OEX series on your website?
Yes, we will.
Okay. Okay, so we have the super light adapter onto the fifth wheel there. We have the cone on the base. It looks different. We're not used to seeing that at all. At least the super fifth connection was very similar to what we had before, but this is different. Chris, are you nervous about that at all?
Well, okay. Yes. I'm curious more than anything because I understand the concept functionally of how it works. Like, you get the funnel under the ball, you drop the ball down, right?
Yep, that's simple.
One thing with these ball and funnel style hitching points is you do have to raise the front end quite a bit. So that's one argument where people really like the traditional fifth wheel style connection, and it's a little bit lower of a connection point. Slow, 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 nice and slow. Stop right there.
So really all I'm going to do is put a little on the down into that pocket.
Yep.
Because once the ball drops in there, there is a little friction on the outside ring of that ball. So we just want to put a little oil on there as you're hooking up. It also is going to aid in that ball sliding down. But to answer your question, yes, as long as that ball, the center of that ball is somewhere in the outside ring of that funnel, it will funnel itself down into position.
Nice. So if you're flying solo, you can put your truck in park, like Nick said, and you can get out and then kind of do this your own. Yeah. So now you can kind of see what it looks like.
Okay, all right.
Pretty easy.
If you're comfortable with a travel trailer where you've towed a travel trailer behind your truck, this is a very exact same concept.
Yep.
So now we just need to secure the ball into position using the remote latch handle.
Okay.
So that we just reach in from the driver's side corner and give the pin a little turn, and it goes right in.
Can you do that one more time? It was so fast.
Can you do that again?
Absolutely.
It was so fast I missed it.
So to disconnect, pull it and twist it,
Yep.
and then to hook it up.
Wow.
Okay.
It almost seems too easy.
Yeah. And so there's nothing else besides that then? That's
it.
Yeah. Okay. Very different feeling than the fifth wheel hitch connection. Very different. So you can kind of see it's pretty riding top high. So Nick kind of gave a guess on the funnel and had it in the top position.
We were off by a ways, so we're gonna lower the funnel down a couple of settings. bring that down a bit, try to level the trailer off a little bit more.
So here's a good shot of the 7.5 inches of, you know, offset. You can see that puts that right back to the tailgate with, you know, a good 2-3 inches to spare, which obviously there's no risk of hitting there, but as it turns, the side of the truck is what we have to worry about.
The pin box is a huge variable in how this sets up perfectly. Some pin boxes are at more of an angle downward. Some of them are more flat and long, like this particular pin box is. The pin box style has a lot to do with how much clearance you're going to end up with. So we definitely want to go through that process of testing it, making sure our clearance is what we want.
So there's another addition to the variables. Okay, variables. The RV is a variable, the truck's a variable, the cap style is a variable, the pin box is a variable, and the ground is a variable.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else I missed?
I'm sure there's something else out there that we both missed.
And then the driver's a variable.
That's a big one.
You can really see how much farther that sits back than what we're used to. Okay, so before we make the turn, we'll just talk through this since it's a brand new truck and we don't want to.
What I anticipate happening is that we're going to get close with the back of the pin box to the bedside.
Yep. Long
before this corner of this coach gets to the cab of the truck. And again, every coach is different because this corner could vary, the length of the pin box can vary. So with this particular setup, I think that we'll get to where that pin box is going to be real close here before we're anywhere close to the cab. I could already almost guarantee that. So we're going to end up switching the adapter around and putting the ball behind the kingpin. I think that'll give us the best end result.
Yep.
But let's continue on the turn and see
where it goes.
Yeah.
Keep going, nice and slow. Keep going. We got about 5 inches right now.
We'll stop at about 2, I think, maybe 3.
So if we had some type of tonneau cover that has sometimes rails that stick in, that could be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, that can sometimes be an issue even without.
Yep, I've seen those bunged up at the campground.
Yep.
All right, stop there for 1 second, babe. Let's take a little closer look at this, Nick. What do you think?
Yeah, we're certainly getting a little tight. You know, you also got to consider if the trailer's axles are at a much lower terrain than where the truck's at.
Yeah.
It's going to put this angle down and basically bring this even closer down. So because of that, I would say this is about as tight of an angle as we can expect to get with the setup like this. Now, if we reverse the ball, we're going to find that we'll be able to get even more of a turn, I think. You know, one thing we could do still, if we were trying to make this work with as much cab clearance, and we could bring this pin box up a setting and then bring the hitch up a setting, which would bring this up 2 inches, which would allow us to get a little more clearance without having our trailer really nose high. You know, so it's kind of finding the happy balance that works the best. But I think with this setup, we'll switch the ball and be pretty happy with the angle we get.
Okay. And you can see the cab clearance. The cab clearance is, I mean, geez, that's almost 2 feet. That's pretty amazing there. But again, that's kind of the trade-off. When you start moving that farther back, you got to worry about the tailgate clearance and you got to worry about the bedside clearance. So very interesting. We'll switch it out and see what else we can do here. So right now Cameron is just gonna spin that around just like that and retighten it. So again, this is kind of showing the versatility of the product on how you can kind of make it set up and different for your application. Because sometimes, you know, you buy your truck first, you buy your trailer first, you buy you do all these different things and you don't know how they're gonna fit together. It's nice that this can kind of change in some different styles and be like, okay, this works a lot better in this configuration.
Absolutely.
So this shows kind of the difference of where the ball was. So when we unhitched, we were right over the cone, and now it's 7 inches back. So quite a bit different. It's definitely one thing I like, the ease of hooking up.
And nobody likes a drop trailer. We can see that that ball has dropped far down into that pocket. The cross pin has gone through, and we know that it's latched up. It's not going to come uncoupled.
Are you cut all the way?
Oh yeah.
All right, nice and slow here, babe. Now it's tightening up. Now we're breaking that 12 inches down to maybe 8 inches. Yeah, you've almost done a full circle. Not quite. Yeah, we're sticking pretty strong at that 6-7 inches of clearance right there.
And that's where, that's probably as tight as you're going to get with this truck and trailer on this without going in reverse.
I'm gonna stand back a little bit here. It doesn't look like that cab's gonna hit the fifth wheel at all, so that just, this is obviously not good for your fifth wheel, but we're just kind of demonstrating how far you could go in a situation that you had to. Yeah, let's stop right there. So that's a full circle.
Yeah, I think what we've demonstrated here is with this trailer, this truck, even though it's a 6.5 foot bed short bed with the OEX Superlight, we can do forward turns until, you know, as long as we want to without hitting the cab. It's just backing into the sight, getting to that 90-degree mark that you might end up getting close to the cab and hitting.
That's one thing you don't have to worry about. Like,
right.
That's a nice thing to think in your head. Like, I can make a turn and not, you know,
absolutely.
run into that.
If you can check that concern off of your list and be okay with the concern backing in, then the OEX might make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but backing in, which is a little bit easier because there you're doing it controlled,
right?
Hopefully,
right.
And yeah, you can watch that a little bit closer.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so we are gonna go in reverse just a little bit to try to get a little bit closer. You can see this is, I don't know, 2 of my hand widths. That's probably a good 6 inches right there. So
I'm laughing at your very specific measuring.
My tape measure?
Yes.
Okay, babe, so we're gonna have you go in reverse, nice and really, really slow.
Okay.
Really slow.
Really, really slow.
Because this, you might only be able to go back like 6 inches, so really slow.
Okay, are you ready?
Really slow.
You're not worried about that truck, are you, Aaron?
Not at all. A little bit more. Stop right there. Okay, so here we kind of close the gap to about my finger width, but that's still like 4 inches right there.
You can squeeze a little more out of that.
All right, he's testing us. All right, Chris, a little bit more.
Do you want me to go slow?
Very, you got it, slow. All right, stop right there. That's so that's a tight 4 fingers. That's probably more like
3 inches.
Yeah, 3 inches, and you know, we'll have a good angle to see how that is. Obviously, it's not 90 degrees, but it's a pretty sharp turn.
Right. I mean, with this, we're splitting hairs on, but you still have to be careful when you get down to 2-3 inches of clearance because uneven ground can cause that to interfere really fast.
That little last experiment was borderline getting ridiculous, but I think it was a fun thing to do, and it was really exhilarating to have the wheel cranked all the way and to do that donut. Never done that before in my life.
Yeah, that was a tight turn.
We just looped a Cheerio around the parking lot.
Yeah, good job driving today, babe.
Thanks.
All right, it's been a long and fun day of shooting here at Pullrite. I appreciate it, everything, Nick.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Some things were surprising, and some things you probably kind of already knew what the outcome was going to be. And you know, we were doing this in a Ram pickup, and one thing that I didn't mention that I like on your website is that you actually have this little chart that shows all 4 OEX options with all of the manufacturers, and it shows the actual degree of how far you can turn, and that's, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yes, and it was a hard thing for us to create because we had to, you know, all trailers are a little different, so we used more of a squared up measurement, so it's not all exact.
Yeah.
We know that what we got is a little bit tighter than what that sheet showed.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, we should give kudos to Chris because there was no cab hit accidents. There was no
Absolutely.
gas instead of brake.
She backed the trailer in perfectly at the end of the day even. So
Yep.
it was a good day.
All right, so let us know what you think about the new OEX series. What do you like? What do you dislike? What are you towing with? You know, there's all different types of options out there. Pullrite here has given, you know, one more option, a very versatile option that can, you know, do a lot of different things. So I'm excited to see this thing, you know, in its first year on the market. I hear it's doing very, very well.
It is.
People are liking it.
Yep, it won New Product of the Year at the most recent RV convention. So
Nice.
Good
That's
thing.
always something exciting when, you know, you get acclimates when you deserve it. So.
Yep, well, we appreciate that for sure.
All right, thanks again, and we'll see y'all in the next video.